The Bethertilsha couldn't stand. The cowboy said, "You'll never kneel to onion again." Sasha Williams had grown up in the tiny town of Redstone Ridge, a place where everyone knew everyone, yet no one knew the truth about their life behind closed doors. Her family's ranch had been lost years ago after her father's illness, and the men who bought the land were nothing but cruel. They used their power like whips and treated Harrisol alley worker who was allowed to rest, refuse their orders, or protect herself. Sasha had learned to teach herself silence, because every time you speak against a cruise man you paid for it. Her day began at dawn and ended long after the sun vanished, and the only time her heart felt alive was when her saddle ripped through the wind as she wandered the old trails that once belonged to her family. But life changed the day the Cruz bros were trying to stand up for the old stable boy, a small kid who was getting punished for a drop of spilled grain. "Look at this," Marco Cruz neared, the little cowgirl-like stoplight hero. Thien pain rain down like he shower they didn't care if it wasn't the kid's foe. They wanted Asho. Sahe took the blows to her arms, her back, her shoulders. She collapsed once the pain became too loud for her body to hold. She remembered boots in her vision, the dirt smell, her own breath shaking, and someone else's voice cutting throat hair like Ignafi. Enough. The word became sharper than the wind, and the brothers froze. Sasha, trapped with her cheek to the dust, saw a pair of weathered leather boots she had never seen before. They belonged to a wide-shouldered, muscular man in his dusty coat and hat pulled low over his eyes. He didn't look angry, he looked like stone. "Get away from her," he said quietly, which made some more terrifying. "This isn't your business, cowboy," Marco Cruz snapped, but the man stepped closer. "Stand her up," the cowboy ordered. The silencio stand, and the Cruz bros realized the obvious. This man wasn't just any stranger. His name was Cole Ryder, a lone rancher whose spread of hills and cattle grazing grounds covered half the state. He was rich, powerful, and no demon anyone who wanted to fight. Not hath he demanded respect, he just carried it in the natural weight of his voice. Marco Lofnivsly. "Sheshna play Signora world, Cole, stay yodo fit. Thescorn was weak." Colleen read him. Heck knelt beside Sasha, his gloved hand hovering at first then lightly touching her shoulder. "Can you stand?" Sasha's voice refused to move. Her shake wasn't wearing off. He stood and said the words quietly to Theman. "You beat a her who couldn't even defend herself. You think that makes you men?" Luis Cruz, the shorter, but meaner brother, snarled, "She a sore slave, old man. She works here, we own her." Cole's jaw flexed. "You own nothing." With the helped Sasha onto her feet. His arm wrapped around her waist steadier than any she'd felt in years. Marco Cruz burst out, "You can take her." Coletti didn't turn around when he said, "Watch me." And then something in them must have broken because there was no more arguing. No threats. The brothers stepped back, for the first time knowing they'd crossed a line. They couldn't race. Cole carried Sasha to Ryder's wagon that waited by the fence line. When he sat alongerly down on the bench shed he didn't have the strength to speak. His presence felt like the sun after a long winter. "They beat you often," he said gently. It doesn't matter." Sasha amazed she'd spoken so fast. Her body trembled, but Cole took off his coat and wrapped it around her. "It matters," he said. "No one should kneel to a bunch of cowards. You'll never kneel to onion again, not while I'm breathing." Those lines flickered through her like something unbelievably warm. He drove her back to his ranch, a big spread of fences that looked like drawn lines between hell and freedom. The house was large but quiet, the kind that felt welcoming the moment one door opened. "You can't stay here," Cole said firmly. "As long as you need." Sasha flushed. I didn't want to be burden." "You are a no to burden," Coletti didn't let her finish. "Andy want Latanyon hurt you again." That night Colette showed her a guest room, but it was clear he was reluctant to leave her alone. She was bruised, aching, and felt like she should apologize for taking up so much space, but Cole treated her as if the only thing that mattered was her healing. The following day he woke her with hottie and a medicine eket. He sat up next to her tending her bruises with the carefulness of a man who had lost too much in his life and was terrified of losing anything more. His dark blonde hair fell lightly over his forehead, and his eyes never left her wounds like he was memorizing the wrong done here so that could fix it. "Why did you help me?" Sasha finally asked. Cole's fingers froze over her bandage. He took a breath. "Because I know what they're done to their workers. And have never forgiven myself for not stepping in earlier." Her heart twisted. Hawason of the semen, strong but soft in the places if unseen and untouched. Sasha held slower than she expected. Some pain lingered, but so much more was linked to fear. She was afraid the Cruz bros would come back, afraid Cole would change his mind, afraid she was somehow trouble. But Cole told her again and again, you are safe here. And she believed him, bit by bit. One evening while the sun painted the fields gold, Cole stood with her on the porch. How long has a life been like there, Sasha? She tensed. Before her senses got up, Cole put a hand in her back, steady, strong, reassuring. You can tell me, he said softly. Her shoulders shook a little. Since the day we'd lost our land. Those men, they used it to work who's like mules. And when my papa, Sasha couldn't finish the rest. Cole pulled her closer without touching her bruises. Held it no task for Therist. Headed not push. He just stood beside her like a rock inside of the wind. You'll never go back. There, he said, not while I'm breathing. Thistomether was no shake in his voice. Just a vow that felt older than the mountains. After weeks Sasha started helping with the horses. The part of life her heart still remembered. She'd law softly went the full snuzzled her coat. And Cole her soft smile like it was the first sunrise at the Thevesiniges. At first she kept distance from him. But every time a wind gust made her flinch, Cole would place the gentlest hand in her shoulder asher to there she wasn't alone. Sasha started to heal more in Cole's silence than she healed in all the years of enduring the cruise bros. Layden's sprang made her trip taking hay to the back barn. Hessa were and caught her by the waist. Steady, he murmured. Sasha swallowed. I'm getting better. You are, he said, and he wouldn't ever look up at first, but this one seemed a reyes. There was a world in those bluestone soft sigh, guilt, fear, hope, and Adamant had tried to hold back but couldn't. She had learned to keep distance, but the closeness now was not fearful. Itwa swarm. Cole brushed her hair away from her face with the back of his finger. No one shirts you again, he said softly. Not in this life. Something between warm electricity passed between them. Boother stepped back slowly as if giving her time. Giving her choice. 6 weeks after Cole first took Heron, the cruise bros rode onto Riderland. They came with guns and hips and shovels full of threats. Sasha froze on the porch when seeing them, but Cole moved in her sight line before panic could overwhelm her. Inside, he said. Sasha wanted to argue but couldn't even think. Head saw her fear and placed hand in her back letting her behind him. We just want the girl, Marco Cruz shouted. Cole said in that quiet voice of his, you'll never get her. Lewis growled, we own her. You own nothing except your fear, Cole replied. Thistomether Cruz bros didn't expect fight either, they'd brought 2 Mormon with them. Cole could take on the ball if he had to, Boo the didn't want Sasha to see fightin'. Cole stop, Sasha his spearhead from behind. Thee'll kill. Thee want touchy Theris. With that Cole stepped forward as if him and were nothing but stones. His voice went colder than ice. Last warning. Leave Myland. Marco's finger hovered near the goon of the hip. Or what? Cole's blue eyes burned. Ori berry what is left if you are no horse and ofen soon will find you. The men in Hallade as if to go backward, but pride W on the moment. Lewis challenged. She a sproper tea. With that Cole leaned closer. Try to take her. Iron clash adair. The silence was thick with fair, but know this. Miraculously Theman backed away first. It was the way Cole should stood witty and unmoved. Or maybe they realized they weren't just facing a man. They were facing a rod of justice with a story behind it. Finally they sped off smearing dust behind their retreat. Cole went back to Sasha. He was panting just a bit, that first sign off you should've seen in him. Are you all right? He said. Her breath's hook. You could've. Shish, he soothed, hands on theirs. I couldn't have let him near. You. Note after what they've done. Note after I washer that you, me. Sasha whispered. Cole looked away a shemet of something gunsaid. That you matter, he said. More so than I should admit. Sasha stepped closer. There was no earth between his foot and hers, no light between shadows on her face, and when Sherry ched for his hand flinched only because she wasn't sure he was supposed to. You saved my life, she said. You give me home. Taught me not all cowboys are cruel. And you fixed a broken thing in me. Co swallowed dard. Sasha. My heart's not something he planned to drive away again. And I never planned to feel anything again, she replied. His eyes lifted. Her words folded him. As long wind blew, pastures swayed like sea and for those heartbeats nothing else that existed except 2 people still learning what love could mean. Cole pulled her closer in the gentlest embrace. You'll never kneel to onion again, he said softly in her ear. Stand with him, instead, and Sash added. Not that moment, but the weeks after as she found strength in work and laughs and freedom. Cole walked with her at each sunrise, and later that year when the blooms of blue bonnets covered Southfield, he took her hand and hissed, stay here. Not as guest, as family, as me heart. She smiled. Still healing, still growing, but now not broken. Yes, she said, because you saw me in a day no one else would. Koa leaned his forehead to hers. I'll protect you for the rest of my days. And in the school of mountains and ridges and winds that carried old pain away, Sasha Williams stood strong again, free again, and for once in her life finally loved again. Albka's young cowboy saw her crumbling to the ground and decided that she'd never kneel to Onion again.